Welcome, Joslyn Center Facebook fans and also podcast fans. This is Jack Newby, the Executive Director here at the Joslyn Center. Welcome to our Interview Friday show. Before we get started with an interesting interview with Susan with the Wellness Center, I want to talk to you a little bit about other classes and programs that are coming up in the coming weeks. One thing, if you want to exercise, we have a great class at 8 o'clock in the morning called Go for Life. Great instructor, Jose Mendez, and he is a certified personal trainer, and Go for Life covers strength, balance, flexibility, and endurance. So it's a great class, Monday through Thursday at 8 o'clock. So we certainly invite you to join that. And if you are interested in other exercise classes, we have calisthenics, yoga, Zumba, whatever works for your physical fitness level. Also, if exercise isn't something that you want to do, although you should, we have board games, we have bridge lessons, we have personal computer classes. And if you're not able to come to the Joslyn Center for some reason, check out our website and register for our virtual programs. And we have a whole calendar of virtual programs that you can do from home if for some reason you're not able to come here. So this is Interview Friday. We have Susan Chinskey with us. Susan's with our Wellness Center. Welcome, Susan. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Susan's our expert here to tell us a little bit about the various classes and what we do at the Wellness Center. And so there are a number of different classes. One of them is aging mastery. Now, what does that mean, aging mastery?
So it's how we can age well. So we have 10 different subjects, and we have guest speakers that talk in their professional field. And it's an interesting interactive class. Even though it's always on Zoom for right now, it's interactive. I have the people introduce themselves, get to know who's in the class. So it feels like you're in the class and you know the other people, so you're comfortable talking with them. It's not just, let's be on Zoom and show our faces. It's like, no, let's interact with everyone. Let's get to know everyone. So one of the classes is relationship. So we have Elise from the Wellness Center, who is a certified sociologist, and she talks about relationships. You know, how are our relationships? Who are we relating to? What are we doing? We have community service, which we talk about volunteer and what are you doing in the community? How active are you? Can you do other things? We have finances. We have exercise and are you exercising? Maybe there's some tips you learned to exercise or just start moving a little bit more and how important it is and what your physiology, what actually happens when you exercise. We also have eating habits. How are you eating? Can you change that? What fats are good? These days, who knows anymore? So what do they recommend? And that's usually a person from Eisenhower Medical that's a trained nutritionist. We also have medication management, and we have a pharmacist come in, and most people bring, or they tell us what their medications are, so the pharmacist can talk about the medications. And it's something that you really don't talk to your doctor about, maybe not your pharmacist, but this you can ask a person, you know, is there interaction between the two? When should I take my supplements versus when I'm taking medication? So it's been really fascinating and people have really learned a lot. There's also falls prevention. If you do fall, what's the best way to get up? And how can you prevent falls? Let's see what else. Advanced planning is another good one. So everything that we talk about is really good. And now's the time to do it when you're healthy, you're vibrant, you have your sense of mind, plan for the future, you know, what's going to happen. So we all do want to age well and healthy. And this class can really show us how. Oh, we also have, I can't forget the sleep doctor, because how many people have sleep apnea? And that's been really fascinating, where people go in and have their sleep checked. You know, are you stopping breathing during the night? What's going on? So she's a great doctor that we have all the time. So it's a great, interesting class.
Well, I think the important thing about this class is listening through the various subjects that you talked about. If we were honest with ourselves, probably one or more of those would apply to us. And to learn more, and especially the opportunity to learn from experts and have that kind of intimate class feeling where you're with people that are having similar problems or issues, it can be really helpful for you to get through them. And I was talking with someone, with actually one of our counselors, who said that, he worked in hospice, and it was so kind of upsetting because people at the end of their lives hadn't, were missing things out that they wish they would have done, or maybe their health could have been better. They wouldn't be in that circumstance, and that he thinks it's a class everyone should take. So when you get to that point, you have no regrets. And I can tell you the relationships, so many times we think about primary relationships, but really how do we relate with when we meet new people, with our friends, with other people in our lives, with our family. So I think the class is just really dynamic. And I should mention, it is what's called an evidence-based class. It was developed by the National Council on Aging. So it's in virtually every state. And we're the only senior center here in the Coachella Valley that offers this class. So.
And you get a book. This is a book that comes with the class. So, and it lists all the subjects that are in the class. So you get to read each chapter in the class about the class, and then you get the guest speaker that talks on the subject. So it's really comprehensive.
And the opportunity to meet with some of these guest speakers that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to do, talking with a nutritionist one-on-one, or a sleep doctor from Eisenhower Health one-on-one, or your pharmacist. Sometimes your pharmacists are so busy when you go there right now, especially it's like after you wait in line for an hour, you just want to get your medication and go. One of the other courses we offer is Brain Boot Camp. Tell us a little bit about that, because so many people are concerned about brain health and cognitive decline as they get older. Tell us about Brain Boot Camp and how it might even be able to help people live longer and not have that cognitive decline.
Yeah, because right now the statistics is 1 out of 2 will get Alzheimer's after the age of 85. And that's a huge number. And so what it is our brain, just like our bodies decline, we're not as strong as we used to be. We can't skip and jump and hop and do all those things that we used to do. Our brains are aging and declining. So all of us are in mild cognitive decline. Once you reach about the 30s or 40s, you start to lose about 7% of your brain cells every 10 years. So if you think about, if you keep losing it 7 and 7, all those 10 years, you get to your 80s, and sure, you don't have the brain capacity that you used to. So what this class does is help you figure out how can you keep the brain cells that you have, and how can you even make them grow. It used to be that we think that you lose brain cells, you could never regenerate them. Well, there's something now called neuroplasticity, and that means that your brain can grow again. So if you're learning and doing things healthy for your brain, it does get better and it does improve. So what I do is I teach, how do you remember things? When we were younger, we used to just remember, oh yeah, I remembered his name. And now we're getting older and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I just was introduced to someone and I don't remember his name. So I teach you tricks, how to remember people's names, how to remember things in general. And we go over learning, do we use our senses when we're learning? And some people just think, okay, just visual, but can we use our other senses? Can we smell? Can we feel? Can we taste? And we talk about all the senses. We talk about putting things in categories. It's easier to remember if you have categories versus just trying to remember a big list. So we go through all that. And once again, it's interactive also. I like to introduce people. The first few minutes of the class, I'm teaching you how to remember someone's name. And everyone remembers everyone's name in the class. So you're using it, I'm teaching it, you're using it, and we play games. So you're always learning, and then you're experiencing it. And I think that's the best way to learn. And it's a fun class. It's just really interesting. And I talk more about Alzheimer's, and I talk about other things. And what the class really is at UCLA, it's evidence-based again. UCLA it's their program, it's their slides, and then I add some other stuff. But UCLA believes that in 2 weeks you can have a better brain, and that's with eating better. Are you eating good fats? Are you eating wild salmon that has a lot of omega-3s, fatty fish, sardines? Are you eating a lot of antioxidants, vitamins, supplements? What are you eating? What are you doing for your brain? And are you exercising? Because remember, if you're exercising, you're getting that blood flowing, and we want the blood flow to the brain. If you're sitting and you're not active, your brain isn't getting that blood flow. So you need to be active. And believe it or not, there's a program called Brain HQ, which is on the computer, and some insurance companies are now even paying for it. So just like you have silver sneakers that you don't have to pay to go to the gym, now you have Brain HQ that your insurance may be paying for, because insurance knows if they can keep a healthy brain for you, they can keep later problems down the line at bay. So there's lots of stuff we can do, lots of stuff we talk about.
There's so many things about this class. And again, it is from UCLA Health, their UCLA Longevity Center, and a lot of research behind it. And some of it just, common sense that if you eat well, if you exercise, it's going to impact and help with your brain health. And the one thing that as we get older, we're all a little nervous about is cognitive decline. And so this provides you real practical ways to improve your brain health and extend your brain health for years. So it's a great class. It's a fun class. I have a terrible time remembering names, and I learned that I need to pay attention. That when I'm being introduced to someone, and especially in the work that I do, that I'm not, looking for the next person that I'm supposed to meet or talk to, that to pay attention. And there's one exercise, hopefully I'm not spilling the beans, but there's a picture. And then you're supposed to say how many people were in the picture and what were they doing and that sort of thing. And again, it's paying attention. So I think the Brain Bootcamp, it's fun. People love that class. And we do it's coming up soon. We do both a Zoom class for those that are more comfortable doing that, and also in person. So what are the dates coming up on those? Or am I putting you on the spot?
No, so in person is next Friday. So it's February 11th and then the 18th at 10 to 12 at Joslyn Center. And the Zoom class is the Wednesday after, which I don't know the date right now, but it's like 10 days from now. And that'll be from 1 to 3 on Zoom. And you can register for both classes at the Joslyn Center if you call Esmeralda, and she's at 760-340-3220, extension 117. And I'll give that number at the end again. So get your pen and pencil ready, write it down, come join the classes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the classes are fun. And the other thing that we have, and some of the things that came up in here, is that people may have, let's say through aging mastery, they may find out they have difficulty with relationships or with a particular relationship, or something is with finances or making final plans. A lot of people that take these classes end up also going through the Joslyn Center counseling program. So why don't you let us know a little bit about that counseling program and what it covers. It's called Problem Solving Strategies.
So that class, it's not a class, it's individual therapy with one of the clinicians, and they're either licensed or not, they're associates. And what it is usually from 8 to 12 weeks, and you meet with them individually, either in person or on Zoom, and you talk about what's going on in your life. And they try to help you with some of those issues. And we have lots of resources if you need resources, such as, we can give you a list of food banks. We can help you with apartments or senior complexes, and just all sorts of whatever the issues are, relationships. We've all been trained to do that. So it's it's you personalize it. It's what you want to learn, what you want to do, how you want help. And it really helps people.
And I think that's an important thing to mention, is that everyone that is providing this counseling has already graduated, and in many cases are just working for their hours to get their licensure. I don't know how many people know you almost have to work full-time for 2 years to get your hours to be able to be licensed with the state. So, and you are under the supervision of a licensed clinical social worker. So the program is really great. And like I said, if you're having a relationship problem, what I found out with problems in my life is the longer I put them off and don't want to address them, the harder they are to solve. And I think that's the important thing about this is, if we, as we get older, we do have financial problems or problems with family or whatever the issue might be, if you put it off, it only gets worse. One of the classes you do that I find really interesting is the grief recovery class. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's more than just grieving from the loss of a spouse or loved one.
Right. So what I teach is grief recovery method, and it's a specific technique, and we use a book and there's homework. And what it is a lot of times people think, okay, grief, a spouse died, a dog died, something died. It doesn't have to be that way. Divorce, you can grieve. You can even grieve like moving jobs or moving. A lot of people have moved to the desert recently and they don't have a lot of friends. That's a grief because you've lost a lot of your friends. You lost your daily activity with them, or even jobs. You've retired and you're no longer seeing the same people every day. So that's a grief, loss of trust, loss of health. We're not as healthy as we used to be. We're getting older. So there's lots of different griefs, and there's about 40 different ones. And we talk about all of them, and we talk about myths, and we talk about what people say. And we really go through a program so you complete a relationship with one person. So you get to choose who that person can be, and you do a completion. And why people sometimes just keep grieving is because they haven't completed the relationship. So it really gives you a sense of completion with the person. It also can make you kind of, how do you want to live your life? How do you want people to remember you? What's important? And you kind of view your life a little differently. And a lot of people get other things out of the class besides completion. One man was saying, what, he realized his wife was really a pioneer, because when she was in the work field, she was working with a lot of men. And in a field where there were a lot of men, and she was the only woman. And how did she handle it? So he thought, maybe I should write some of her stories and leave it for her kids, her grandkids, her great grandkids. So we thought that was a really interesting way to do it. So there's lots of ways that this can go into your life besides just the grief of the one person. And so it's really an interesting class. It's always unusual, always different. We let people share. And that class is 8 weeks. And usually it's on a Wednesday between 11 and 12:30. And we haven't figured the date, but if you're interested, definitely call Esmeralda again at extension 117, and she can help you sign up for that class. Just let her know you're interested and we'll figure out the dates. But that's always an interesting class.
So we've covered most of what happens at the Wellness Center. I'll just throw in there is a fitness center also in our Wellness Center that you can make reservations and learn how to use the machines there. They are professional machines, and we have training videos to let you know how to use them. So again, Aging Mastery, and that's coming up pretty quick. That's coming up next week on...
Yeah, that class is Tuesday and Thursdays, usually from 1 to 3.
Okay.
When we have the sleep doctor, it is one of the Fridays, but usually usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 3.
So coming up is Aging Mastery, Brain Boot Camp, counseling if you want to delve into some of these issues a little more deeply, and also the grief recovery class. So a lot going on at the Joslyn Wellness Center. And the Joslyn Wellness Center is the only place you can find these various programs. So give us a call at 760-340-3220 and ask for extension 117, and that's Esmeralda, and she'll help you complete the paperwork. There's a little paperwork and registration that happens. And right now, for the brain boot camp and also aging mastery, for all these classes, the class fee is only $5. So you can't buy a cup of Starbucks for $5 these days. So Susan, I really want to thank you for letting us know more about the Wellness Center at the Joslyn Center and what happens there and the various classes and programs that are offered. So anything you want to add?
No, I hope to see everyone there. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it, and you'll enjoy the social part of it too. Even though you're at home, it'll be sociable, and you'll really enjoy it and get something out of all of them.
That's one thing we're finding out, even in the Zoom, in a lot of the Zoom class, people really develop close relationships, and we even have some groups that are continuing on because of the relationships they've established in those classes. So a lot going on at the Joslyn Wellness Center. Susan, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Have a great weekend. And for those of you that are listening or watching, have a great weekend. And we will see you next Friday on the Joslyn Interview Friday. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.